When you see somebody in a desperate mode, it can really stir up a lot of emotions in you. You can feel sorry for the person. You can look at them in pity. You can look at them thinking they're pathetic, even. Narcissists are very confident when they discard people, when they push people away, when they tell themselves that they don't need anybody in their life, that if they discard you and they tell you they don't want to have you back, they're confident they can stick to that word and that they can just carry on with things. But what happens is usually, and this can be pretty soon even after the discard, everything that you provided to them, which now they face the absence of, they do start to miss. Maybe they won't miss what you provided if they're onto a new person. If they're onto a new person, then in a way they're getting their needs met temporarily. But if you were in a long, sustainable type of relationship with them, I'm not talking about something that was a few weeks or months. I mean something that you were emotionally invested, and it seemed they were emotionally invested into you over the long run. When you are absent from their life and you are no longer giving them all that you gave, at some point the narcissist does start to miss that, because narcissists are not self-sufficient. They get their needs met through other people, and if not through you, through somebody else. But if you are somebody who is a long-term partner, reliable, nurturing, that doesn't really get replaced. I mean, let's just face it. It's really hard to get somebody to devote their lives to you. It's really hard for the narcissist to get somebody who's reliable, who's willing to stick with them, to devote their lives to the narcissist. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes they do find a replacement. But to find a proper replacement that's not just like a short-term distraction, that can take many years to happen. But when the narcissist does first notice your absence and the impact it has on them, they go into this denial mode where they don't really want to accept it. And sometimes they might start binge drinking. They might start, you know, watching excessive porn, any addictive type behavior that they're so used to. Binge sex, drugs, just always out and about doing something, always trying to keep their mind distracted. But all that is a distraction. But when they have to own up to what they're really feeling, and they have to kind of face it to themselves, they're not really going to accept that they need you. They're not really going to accept that they are inferior or anything of that nature. But what they will do is they'll very often try to get back in your good graces. They will try to convince you that they have changed. Because if they see that you have put boundaries, that you're not willing to come back, all that they have left to rely on is convincing you they have changed. And this is where, they'll promise that they'll never do certain things again. The crocodile tears, that's where you see the crocodile tears so much. Where they they're convinced, and they convince you they've seen the light. They're willing to get help. They've noticed the wrongdoings that they've had over the past and how unfair they've been. They really let all of that surface, and the they become very tearful, but it's like they're manipulative tears. They're not sincere tears, because narcissists don't really feel genuinely sorry for their bad behavior towards other people. They feel sorry for the fact they're suffering the consequences of their bad behavior, and they put these manipulative crocodile tears. They release the waterworks, right, to get you to think that they're actually really sorry for what they've done to you. And it takes a really experienced person with manipulative people to know the difference about when somebody's crying or upset because they're truly sorry, versus crying or upset because they're sorry that now that they've lost the perks that they once had, and they want to convince the other person to give them the perks back. Manipulation. And narcissists are very good at that. I mean, of course, once you've seen a few narcissists display that behavior and show those fake tears and the fake apologies and the fake epiphanies and the fake um transcendence of who they are into a better person, like it's really hard if you haven't come across them before, that type of that type of situation, it's really hard not to give them another chance because they can be very convincing. And then you remember all the good times. And then you start telling yourself that, oh, if you go back to them, if you let them back in, you can experience all the good moments you've had together. And oh, and if they've changed, that means you won't experience all the abuse. So it's kind of like heaven. You know, they basically just future faked you. Sorry. Um, so it is future fucking too. I don't know why they call it future faking. That's just a nice way of saying that they're future fucking. They're making you think that they're gonna behave in a certain way going forwards, which they can never ever in their life sustain. It's just not who they are. But know the difference between crocodile tears and real tears. Know the difference between somebody who's sorry because they're suffering the negative consequences of their own actions against themselves versus being sorry for the way they've hurt another person. By definition, narcissists don't have empathy, which means they can never really feel bad for the way they treat other people. They just feel bad about karma when karma comes back to bite them. That's the only thing they feel bad about. And that's the only thing they'll ever be able to feel bad about. It doesn't matter if they're 20, 30, 60, 80, 90 years old. That's just the way they are. And sometimes they might try to change certain behaviors, after 40 or 50 years of behaving in a very bad way because they realize they're pushing people away. They do it against their nature, and they do it from a purely selfish perspective. They never really care about other people. They just care about what other people provide them. So sometimes if you really want to detach from them and you don't want them back, which you shouldn't, once you've learned who you're dealing with, it's really important for you to not feel too sorry for them, to not let your compassionate and nurturing nature take over, because what they're betting on your humane, compassionate, nurturing nature getting the better of you. So you take them back because you see a broken person who needs you, and they're promising to you they'll be better. And the narcissist promise is about let's just say it's not very reliable. It's very unreliable. It's as flaky can be. It's just one of those things where you want to see sincerity in the person and you want to believe what they're saying, but you just get stung again and again until you realize, okay, I can't really treat this person like a normal human being, because every time I treat this person like a normal human being, I get burnt. Sometimes you just have to learn to be cold towards certain people. That way you can preserve yourself. Thanks for watching.